Right. So when we talk about the domain name system, we have heard about domain name system already enough, and we also have seen the demonstration using the packet tracer. And on another occasion, we also have seen domain name system demonstration using our Wireshark. I'm sure every one of you would have downloaded and installed the Wireshark in your device. There could be assignments based on the Wireshark. There could be questions based on the screenshot of Wireshark in the first internal. So it's my appeal again to every one of you to download and install Wireshark and start exploring the various capabilities available in the Wireshark, especially related to our application layer protocols, which we have seen so far. Specifically the HTTP, FTP. Today we talk about DNS. By Saturday, we may be talking about SMTP and related protocols. So I encourage you to explore all these protocols as well using our Wireshark. Moving on, when you talk about domain name system, we are going to go to the fundamentals. Though I have given a few hints here and there during my classes so far, I wanted to go to the fundamentals of domain name system, its requirement, how are they organized, what exactly happens when you resolve the name with the IP address or IP address for the name. Well, let me take the analogy of the human. On the screen, you could see there was a person and his passport number is given H29082B3XYZ. And the person, her phone number is also given. And another detail, which is the author number, which is given, and the name. All right. So this should give us a little idea about the why do we need the domain name system. If you look at this is something tricky, right? So as a human being, as you and me, it is very easy for us to remember this person by the name. The name which is given is Ali Greater. So this is the name which is given to this, and it is very easy for every one of us to remember this person with the name Ali Greater. On the other hand, by using the phone number, which is going to be unique in India for this person, and Aadhaar number, as per government statement, it is again a unique identification for every human being in India. And the passport number is also going to be unique, is also unique for every human being in India here. So there are three unique IDs which are available, which are attached to this person, but there is a name also given, but the name may not be unique. All right, Ali Greater may be the name of somebody else. All right. Also, now why should we have this many addresses? I'm not going to try to answer that. That answer I'll be talking to you when I'm dealing with data link layer. But for the time being, yes, all these numbers associated with this persons are unique. Only this person here will have the Aadhaar number of 44443333, then 2222, and so on. And the name, which is not going to be unique. Why should we have these two things at least? Not every of the addresses, but these two things. As a human being, it is very easy for every one of us to remember the name, not the number. But on the other hand, when you look at the machines, they are all working with the numbers, especially the binary numbers. We all know the story. And it is easy for them to handle with the numbers, not with the names. Now this is where we should have the trade-off. As a human, I'm comfortable with the name. As a machine, it is comfortable with the numbers. All right. Now it gives a clear indication that the name and the numbers have to be mapped. Anyway, on the lighter side, don't try to contact this person using this phone number. If you try to do, you will reach me. Okay, that is my phone number. Don't try that. And again, this is a random photograph. I do not know whether this is Ali Greater. It is again a fake name. So don't try to contact this person. Anyway, on the other hand, you look at the second half of the slide. You got a machine which has got the IP address, its own MAC address, and the URL. Again, URL is a unique resource identifier. That is true. But as a human being, I can easily remember example.com. If I move to 4 5 slides later and I ask you what was the IP address of this, which I told you, you may not be able to remember. But But if I ask you, do you remember the name or the URL or the website address which I gave in the slide number 2, you can easily say it is example.com. All right. Now, this indicates that there is a clear requirement between the mapping of, please take the keyword called mapping. I'm not using the word converting or changing. It's a mapping. All right. So mapping of IP address with the URL. All right. If I give the IP address, I should get the URL. If I give the URL, I should get the IP address. So this is called name resolution. All right. The primary objective of domain name system is mapping of IP to URL and URL to IP. When I use the word primary objective, there are some more objectives called secondary objectives are also there for domain name system, which we can see in the further slides. Moving on, what is the domain name system? It's a distributed database. Please remember, domain name system is not a single entity or a single device. It's a collective work. More than one person or more than one server is involved in doing this name resolution called domain name system. And second one, domain name system is a application layer protocol. We all know it uses port number 53. All right. I told that in the previous slide, the primary objective of domain name system is to resolve the IP to the name and vice versa. What are the other services? I have given you the hints here. First one is host name to IP address translation. Yes, that's what I have spoken to you. Give the URL, get the IP. And the second one, it talks about host aliasing. In a simple word, I can help you to understand what is this host aliasing. You all have your friends, maybe roommates or classmates in the hostel mates. Many of them have got pet names. All right, you may have funny names or something serious names, this and that. No, you may have multiple names. Even I was the mentor for one of the batches of your senior classes. I remember one person's name is Topper. I had to find out what is his actual name. All right. So what is the Topper? What is his actual name? His actual name is canonical name, and Topper is the alias name. I repeat, every of the web server, if not every, almost most of the web servers, they have their own canonical name and alias name. Alias name is very easy to remember. I'll show you in the next slide. What is the alias name of a particular web server? What could be the canonical name but which DNS is providing to the internet community? A third name is something tricky, which we may not be able to remember it. That is all available only to have a clear modularization and to avoid some implementation difficulty. They all have the complex name for the machines, but for us to remember, we always use alias name. Now, the host name have to be mapped with canonical name and alias name as well. And similarly, for the mail server aliasing. Fourth one is the load distribution. Specifically, when you talk about DNS, we have spoken in one of the classes that the service is not going to be a single service server. When we talk about the server was not a single entity available in only one place. It is a distributed one. We also have spoken enough about its merits and demerits. But anyway, the DNS server is again a replicated server. All right, many IP addresses are corresponding to one name. For instance, one URL or one website can have more than one IP address depicting the addresses of different servers of the same system, which may be distributed across the globe. And load distribution is again a crucial benefit which domain name system is exhibiting to us. To know more about that, when I talk about host name to IP address, I visited whatismyip.com. I do not encourage you to visit because it created some trouble in my laptop this morning. After I visited this whatismyip.com, it made little issue with my name server lookup, and it made a minor change in the system config file. which I had to troubleshoot for half an hour at this time. So I do not encourage you to go to whatismyip.com, but I leave to you at your own risk. I will not take any endorsement if you lose internet connectivity by visiting these kind of websites. But anyway, this website helps us to know the IP. For instance, it is one of the services which it has provided was to give the IP address of the given URL. When I typed www.cisco.com, I pressed lookup IP address. It gave me the IP address of one of the IP address to me. This is again your IP URL to IP address. When I went to reverse DNS lookup, I gave one IP address and I just give lookup the host name. This is something reverse of your host name to IP. It gave me the canonical name. Okay, interestingly, this is the canonical name of the cisco.com. You can't even see Cisco here. All right, so this is the canonical name of cisco.com. What's the name given to cisco.com, which is a alias name, right? So these two, again, the answer for the first two, and I did not take a specific snapshot for mail server aliasing because that gives you a similar answer. The fourth one is load balancing. This small graphics helps us to understand the necessity of load balancing. All right. So it is always good. It is always correct to have a balanced load on the server. If you look the left hand side and the right hand side of this CISA setup, okay, if the loads are equal, it's going to be balanced. Otherwise, no, it is an imbalanced one. Hence, we need the load balancing, right? How does it do the load balancing? A small depiction on the right hand side. Due to the issue with my laptop, I could not put it in the full screen where you can see the animation, but let me troubleshoot it shortly so that I can give you in a perfect picture, right? So this is my client. I ask for the IP address from the domain name system. It's a DNS server. I use the NSLOOKUP command, or maybe my browser is looking for the IP address. All right. Now, what happens in one of the occasions? This domain name system talks with its discovery server. It could be your TLD server, or it could be your root DNS. We are going to see in the further slides. It could be some other person who is associated with the DNS server where he is getting the data from. And this has two such machines, all right, having the same URL. So this could be example.com. This also is example.com, but they have different IP addresses, right? It understands that this particular machine is overloaded, or it is under attack, or it is not available at the moment. Could be multiple reasons why a particular server or service may be denied. All right, so this machine is not happy to give you the IP of 1.109. Hence, it goes for load balancing and it gives the IP of 1.110 to you. A simple depiction of what happens in the case of load balancing. All right, moving on. What are the reasons why should we have the DNS as a distributed one? This has been answered by many of you in one of the classes. Wanted to revisit that. One of the points is single point of failure. If there is only domain name system, there will be single point of failure. We know that. Second one is the traffic volume, distance between you and the database, and the maintenance. All right, maintenance of a single server. Every other minute or second, humpty number of URLs are coming up, websites are coming up, and maintaining every of them on a single device is again going to be in deep trouble. All right, so maintenance also a trouble. That's the reason we go for the decentralized DNS or distributed domain name system. And very importantly, it does not scale because there is only one person to take care of the every trouble. Hence, it doesn't scale well at all. These are all the fundamentals of what a DNS, what are the services provided by DNS. So I wait for a minute. I want you to give me answer without referring anyone or anybody else. Please respond with what are the services provided by DNS. I want every one of you to give at least one answer so that I'll take it as part of your attendance as well. So you can type in the chat box, what are the services provided by DNS? Give one answer out of 4. I have given you the hint. Give one answer. You have to answer in next 2 minutes, which will be taken for your attendance. Yes. All right, let's move on. Now let's get into the details of how does this DNS, which is a distributed database, how does it work? What's the architecture behind this domain name system, right? Again, domain name system is a distributed one. We have spoken enough, and it follows hierarchy data structure or hierarchy in structure. What's the meaning of hierarchy? You got one level, probably this could be level 2, and then you got level 1, and you also have got level 0. All right. So it is following some level of hierarchy, and each of these DNS servers have their own responsibility. All right. And a small procedure or small process is given at the second half of the slide. If you look at that, the client, who is the client? You and me, especially the web browser is a client which queries the root server. Okay, it is requesting the root server for a specific answer. All right, to find out the address of a com server. Okay, com normally stands for commerce, org stands for organization, edu stands for education, IN stands for India, RU stands for Russia, CA for Canada. We know that story, right? And in this example, the client wants to query the DNS root server or root DNS server to know about the COM server. So what this root DNS server will do, it will give the IP address of the COM DNS server. That is eventually the IP address of this COM DNS server. And then the client queries the COM DNS server to get into Amazon.com DNS server. All right. And Amazon.com DNS server is available here. And it queries the Amazon.com DNS server to get the IP address of Amazon.com. And I wanted to introduce another word here, which is called authoritative DNS server. This is called authoritative DNS server Amazon.com. When you are using your NS lookup command in working lab, especially in your command prompt, when you type NS lookup, you can see an answer. First line it would say it's a non-authoritative answer. What is that non-authoritative answer? This answer does not straight away come from the authoritative engine, but instead it comes from your local domain name system. All right, that is the reason why you get non-authoritative answer. Who is the authoritative person? It is the server, the DNS server, which is maintained by the company directly, or through the ISP, they will have their own DNS server. Only those servers are called authoritative DNS servers. All right. So if you want to get into the Amazon.com server to know their IP, you have no you have to go to the root DNS. He directs you to com DNS, then he directs you to Amazon.com DNS server. He will give you the IP. This is the normal flow. All right. There are humpty number of root DNS servers available, at least 13 root DNS servers available across the globe. All right. And why are they available? They are available in the top in the hierarchy. They also cannot be overburdened. So they are normally contacted by local name server. That's the new one. What is that local name server? If you look at this, there is nothing called local name server. All right. What is the local name server? It is our own server, especially if you talk about Karunya. Karunya maintains its own DNS server. All right. It is called as local DNS, which will not come under the to have the IP to URL or URL to IP or canonical to alias, alias to canonical mapping. It just stores. In the last class, when I am talking about HTTP, I spoke to you about the proxy server or cache server. Something similar to that, you got the DNS cache, which is your local name server, which we don't normally put under the hierarchy structure. All right. So what is this root name server? It contacts the authoritative name server if mapping is not known. It gets the mapping from the root DNS, and then it stores that details in your local cache memory. All right, this is about the hierarchy and how resolution or resolving of IP to URL and the vice versa is happening. All right, what is this top level domain servers? It's only a theory question. It is responsible for the top level domain or org or xyz. And then who is this authoritative DNS server? I said in the previous slide, authoritative DNS server is the organization's own DNS server sometimes, or some other time they may outsource maintained by the ISP. If they don't have adequate infrastructure, they can go for the ISP to manage that particular server. So whatever IP the authoritative name server is giving out is correct. All right, and you can always defend that the answer is perfect, and you can't expect it from other person. All right, so that is why we use the word authoritative DNS server. Right. Moving on, there are two kinds of name resolution when you talk about the domain name system. Right. So for to understand this in a better way, I wanted to give a small analogy to you. Hope you can visualize what I'm going to tell you. All right. Assume that you are in the Karunya campus. All right. You can imagine in your mind that you are in the Karunya campus. You are in your hostel room or in the classroom. All right. And it rains heavily. And suddenly you are a bit anxious to know whether it is raining in your native place. All right, you can think of your no, you are in this, you are sitting in Karunya campus, and you suddenly think of your native place, and you also wanted to know whether it is raining at present. So of course you can type into the website, you can see the weather forecast and XYZ. But I'm telling you simple logic. You call up your mom, or you call up your dad, whom you expect to be available at your house at that time, and you're calling your father and you ask him, Papa, is it raining there? All right, I just want you to visualize this. Okay, you ask him whether it is raining there, and unfortunately he is not in your house at that time. He was on official trip to some other city. All right, now hope you have imagined situation. So at present he can answer in two ways. One is, see, I am out of town. If you want to know whether it is raining, you please call your mom. All right, or you call your sister or brother at your house. They will be able to give you the answer. And he cuts the call. This is one. What could be the second version? What are the other possibility of answer he can give? He can give, wait, I am out of town. Please hold on. But your mom is at the house. Let me call her and find out whether it's raining or it is having a pure sunshine, and then get back to you. He puts you on hold, calls up your mom, and finds out whether it's raining there. gets the answer and gives you the response that it is raining or it's not raining. All right. Now, I want you to understand the difference between these two. In the first case, which I have narrated to you, your father did not take up the load on his head. He just told you an answer. Look, I do not know. You ask him. All right, you ask her. She will be able to answer it. And what will you do? Okay, pa, you cut the call. You call up your mom and ask, Mama, is it raining there? She would say, yes, it's raining or it's not raining. You got the answer. All right. This is what the first case where your father did not take up the load of finding out whether it's raining or that because he might be busy with other things. The second case, he is burdened. He takes, wait, baby, let me call up your mom and find out whether it's raining. All right. So now you are making only one call. You are not making more than one call, but you are getting the answer. All right. The first case which I have spoken to you is the perfect example of iterated query. If I ask you what is an iteration, okay, that's a good question I can ask. What is an iteration in the programming language? May I get your response in the chat box? What do you know about iteration? Let this be a name statement. Absolutely no problem. You can give me. Aishwarya has answered it as looping. Okay, Shivanki Reddy has said it is a recursion. Okay. Then again, another answer I got as recursion. Okay, any other answer? Can I wait for some more answer? Reporting a set of statement until condition becomes false, something similar to loop. Okay, repeated execution of instructions. Okay, good. Again, this line will not differentiate from looping. Okay, looping also will get the same answer. Going through sequence of steps once, which might be potentially repeated. Okay, good. All right, thanks for your response. Process of repetition or repeating. Thank you, Nila. Right, so thanks for answering it. I'll go back to the presentation, then I'll come back, then ask a question. Hope you'll be able to answer in a better way for that. All right, so this is about your iteration. What happens? You are here in the requesting host. First request goes. So you wanted to know the IP address. Okay. You wanted to know the IP address of this machine. That is what your objective. All right. So you make a request to your local DNS server, which is available with your organization. Unfortunately, he is not having the answer. And he, on behalf of you, talks to root DNS server. All right. And the root DNS server gives the answer, boss, I do not know the answer for your question. You better talk to the TLD server, which is the top level domain server. It could be EDU server, COM server based on the requirement. So you are given the IP of whom? IP of the TLD server, not the IP of your target. All right. Now, by taking that IP, you are talking to the COM server, or in this topology, it's a TLD server, top level domain server. And it tells you, again, sorry, boss, I also do not have. You better ask the authoritative DNS server, who is the person who maintains the IP and the URL of the actual organization. And you are getting the IP of the authoritative DNS server. And you talk to the authoritative DNS server, he gives the authoritative answer of this machine. Could be 10.11.12.13. Okay, he gets the response to you. Now the local, and he gives the response to you. All right, this is what iterative. This is the analogy which I have told you as the first case. Look at the second case. This is what happening in the recursive. What happens in the case of second one, recursive? First and eighth messages are similar. Look at the previous one and current one. First and eight are similar, but you could see some strange things are happening among the other devices. You ask the local DNS. Now he takes the burden of knowing the IP. He talks to root DNS. Now the root DNS is not telling you talk to TLD. He talks to DLD, gets the response, and the root DNS server gives you the answer of the local DNS server. Right? So once you get the answer, this local DNS server gets the answer, it has resolved, and it stores the given IP address here and then gives you the response. Now, this is about iterative DNS resolution. This is what recursive DNS resolution. Now I come back to you in the chat box. Can someone or few of you compare the iterative with recursive lookup? Whatever you feel, the comparison of these two, you can put it in the chat box. And I can give you a minute before I go to the final slides of the day. I hope you are typing. Or should I tell that you will get attendance only if you type? I do not want to do that. So holding responsibility for it. So there could be one savior among you to give the answer. My question is, what's the difference between these two cases? I don't see anyone giving the answer. So what I'll do, I go randomly. Okay, number 55, Ashby Isaac. Please respond, unmute, and you can speak to me. What's the difference between recursive and iterative?
So in recursive, the function calls itself. Hello, sir.
Yes. Yeah, I'm listening to you.
So in recursive, the function will be calling itself, and in iterative, the function repeats itself until the condition fails.
Okay. That's the definition of recursive and iteration. Jomin also has said it is depth first search, it is breadth first search. That's Ashby, you can keep yourself unmute. I still have some more to talk to you. So technically, what's the difference between these two in this case?
So recursive, it uses a branching structure.
I missed that line. Can you repeat?
It
Recursive?
uses a branching structure.
Okay.
And iterative uses a iterative structure.
Okay. Thanks for your answer, Ashby. You can mute yourself if you want. Brighton says recursive means it will try to get the answer from other server. All right, a lot of answers I'm getting from Sejal, Samuel, Jose. All right, so thanks for your response. Let's go back to the presentation. We have only 3-4 minutes left. So I'll tell you the fundamental difference between these two. It's all about who takes the load. All right. So if you look at this case of iterative query, where the local DNS takes the burden of talking to everyone else. Okay. After giving the response to you, root DNS goes back to its own work. Then TLD server will take care of its own work. But what's the case of in the case of the recursive query, there's a slight change. Now, root DNS takes the burden. Earlier, it was only local DNS. Now, the root DNS takes the burden of talking to other person, and he has to make its thread open till it gets the response. If TLD server is delaying, or if authoritative DNS server is delaying, again the burden will be on the root DNS server. All right. So I don't know whether this topology is a perfect one. Okay, it's all based on how you load the people. When you look at this case, it's a local DNS who takes up the whole load. All right, it makes almost 3-4 calls. But here that is not the case. But the root DNS server is put on hold till it receives the response from others. All right, so that's about the difference between these two. Anyway, you can give more insights into it by exploring this in detail. Okay, I'll wind up by another 2-3 slides. The second one, when you talk about the DNS, is about the caching. I still remember one of your friends asked about the question when I demonstrated. He looked at the TTL field of DNS record and he made a request. So what is that TTL field in the DNS record? And I responded to him as well. Okay, that comes here. When you talk about the DNS, it caches the mapping. For instance, you give the URL, you get the IP address back, that is stored in your cache memory. And these entries are disappearing after some time, which is called TTL. This TTL is normally given by the server who gives you the answer. Okay, he will say you better have it only for this much time. What's the reason? Okay, cache entries may be out of date. The reason is you have resolved it today. Tomorrow, the particular server for some reason might have changed their IP address for the same domain. All right, that IP might be given to some other URL. Now your cache entry in your local DNS is outdated. All right, that's the reason every of these such entries or cached entries have their own timestamps and the TTL value so that it expires after certain time. That is also with DNS. The final, but the previous slide, there are 4 kinds of resource record. I wanted to explain a lot here. Please permit me to go till 11:46 or 47, another 2 minutes. Please don't scold me. I'll finish it today. When you talk about the DNS record, there are 4 kinds of DNS resource records available. Okay, what are those? Type A, type CNAME, type NS, type MX. All right, this type of this DNS resource records can be found out, by using this kind of DNS. This is called resource records. All right. So what are the 4 things? Type A has name and IP address. Okay, you give the host name, you give the URL, you get the IP address. In that case, the resource record is type A. Okay, what is type NS? You give the name of the URL, you give the host name of authoritative name server. Do you remember here? Once you give this, once you talk to him, he IP of whom you can talk to you. Okay, he's not giving the IP of this machine. He gives the IP of TLD name server. Very similar to that, type NS, name resolution, helps you to give the authoritative name server's IP to you. Type A and type NS look similar, but they are different. Third one is type CNAME. I spoke about canonical name and alias name. So type CNAME is giving you the record of what is the alias name for the canonical name. Okay, so this is your alias name, what is the canonical name which is given to you. And finally, the name server, which I have said about CNAME, it is the type MX record, very similar to that, but here it is about the mail service. So please remember, there are 4 kinds of DNS resource records available: type A, type NS, type CNAME, and type MX. And finally, this is the DNS resource record, DNS message format. For request and reply, or for query and the response, you use the message format, very simple message format. This is the first time we are learning about the message format after HTTP message format. So the first field is of 2 bytes, gives a unique ID for every request, so that once you get the response back, by looking at the identification, you can understand whether this is the response for my request. Tags talks about whether it is a query or reply. So this gives you whether it's a query or reply. And you also can set whether recursion is, whether I want recursion or whether it is available. And then it also will indicate whether reply is authoritative. So I encourage you to use the Wireshark tool and capture the DNS packets and explore this more. you will get some interesting questions and answers from that captures. All right. Then you got the number of questions, number of resource records, and the questions and the answers. All right. So this is a simple format of DNS session. So quick recap in 30 seconds. We started talking about what is the domain name system. We understood the requirement of domain name system. We read about the services offered by domain name system, and we also found what is the difficulty if you have a centralized DNS. We also know it's a distributed DNS. We spoke about hierarchy. We got the root server, TLD server, and then we got the dedicated COM or the actual authoritative servers. Then we also talked about local DNS. Then we went on to see the resolution. How do they resolve the IP with the other URL, recursive or iterative methodologies. And we also looked at the character of the resource record, and also finally the message format of DNS. So that brings end to our DNS topic. So do you have any question to raise? If you have any question to raise, you can raise it now. Otherwise, again, please type your register number and leave. But don't forget that I'm going to give you an assignment